You hit a certain age, and a quiet panic sets in. You look around at where you are in life. You ask yourself, am I doing enough? And you get this visceral, exhausting sensation that you are drowning in stagnation. You open your phone, and that dread multiplies. Psychologists refer to this as the compare and despair effect. Scrolling through the curated, highly filtered successes of your peers acts like an amplifier for your own existential anxiety. But the data tells a very different story about what you are actually experiencing. This chart illustrates the J-shaped curve of mental health over a human lifespan. Notice how reported happiness drops sharply from childhood into young adulthood, before steadily climbing much later in life. Psychologists call this deep trough at the bottom the neutral zone. It is a highly unstable psychological phase where you have left the familiar ground of your childhood, but you have not yet found your new footing as an adult. The terror you feel in this phase is a normal developmental stage, not a personal failure. We simply misinterpret it as failure because we measure our progress against a rigid, invisible checklist. The reason almost everyone feels like they are falling behind is that we are all grading ourselves against an outdated societal timeline. Researchers call this the social clock. In the 1960s, a psychologist named Bernice Neugarten identified this clock as the hidden cultural timeline dictating when you're supposed to graduate, get married, buy a house, and settle down. If you look closely at where these milestones come from, their absurdity becomes obvious. Take the mandate that you must retire at the age of 65. That specific number wasn't handed down by biology. It was essentially locked into the culture by the 1935 Social Security Act, during a historical era when the average American life expectancy was in the early 60s. Since the 1930s, the path to adulthood has shifted. We've moved from the stability of corporate offices to the volatility of hybrid work and AI. We're navigating a world where homeownership is often out of reach, and student debt has reached hundreds of billions of dollars. Yet the societal checklist we hold ourselves to stayed frozen in time. If you feel behind, it isn't because you're failing. It's because you're following a timeline built for a world that no longer exists. Your failure is actually just a mismatch between your reality and someone else's history. Chasing those outdated milestones causes real psychological damage. This is a foundational academic paper by Richard Ryan and Edward Deci outlining self-determination theory. Looking at Figure 1, we see why the social clock makes us miserable. The authors map out injected regulation, making choices out of guilt or anxiety. Under this, you ignore innate needs for autonomy. You can check every societal box and still feel completely hollow. Therapists compare this state of living to a plumbing pipe completely clogged with grease and hair. You keep trying to run clean water through it, but you are blocked by the accumulated sludge of other people's expectations and outdated generational norms. Doing exactly what society tells you to do is the exact mechanism that guarantees you will feel lost. You are living someone else's life. Getting unstuck requires you to clear that psychological pipe. You have to abandon the external milestones and focus entirely on building a self-authored identity. The reality of human development gives you plenty of time to do this. Your 20s, for example, are not for having your career figured out. Biologically and culturally, they are meant to be a chaotic, necessary decade of exploring possibility. We think of our 30s and 40s as a time to settle, but the data points to a launchpad. The average age of a successful startup founder is 45 years old. For example, Vera Wang didn't start designing wedding dresses until she was 40. Julia Child published her very first cookbook at the age of 49. Medical researchers point out that even in your 50s and beyond, your muscles and your brain are biologically designed to adapt and grow until the day you die. There is absolutely no single correct timeline. Because our brains and bodies are designed to adapt well into our senior years, the potential for a new chapter remains open in every single decade of life. Real internal change rarely comes from massive, dramatic leaps. It comes from quiet wins, pausing before reacting, setting a boundary, or making a small shift in how you see yourself. Bruce Springsteen once described his own long struggle with therapy like standing in front of a giant brick wall. You think you're seeing the whole world, but then you push. A single brick slides out, and a complete other experience and existence becomes visible. Pushing out just one brick, deciding that you don't need to meet a specific milestone by a specific age, reveals a reality far wider than the one society forced you to see. You are not behind. You are not late. You are finally free to abandon the checklist and build a timeline that belongs entirely to you.